You know what? I really don't like Miss Marvel, and I really don't get why she's popular. I think her powers are really boring. Like they're very basic. If you were to explain them, I think the way she got them was pretty boring. Her origins aren't even that interesting, really, and like the group she's affiliated with in the Marvel universe, it's not that interesting. Let's be honest. I used to like her costume, but it just looks horrible, I think. And I think her haircut's stupid too. I really don't understand why Marvel keeps pushing this character. I think it's a bad move because in the end, she's just really bland. Anyways, that's enough about Carol Danvers. Let's talk about Kamala Khan. Who is Kamala Khan, aka the new Miss Marvel? Well, she is a teenager who lives in Jersey City, who lives with her family. Kamala, the best way to describe her is she's a dork. Like, she's the kind of person who writes fan fictions. Like, I think she's a little away from Tina Belcher from Bob's Burgers, but no, that's who we're dealing with here. She basically takes the Miss Marvel name because, Carol Danvers wasn't using it because she's Captain Marvel at this point. I really like her costume. I like the Return of the Lightning Bolt. I think the scarf is nice, and I like her bangles. Before I go into any more about Miss Marvel, because it's all about Miss Marvel, let's go into side characters a bit. Miss Marvel's parents I really like. They are pretty conservative and traditional Muslims, and, they're actually concerned and notice a change when Kamala starts becoming a superhero. They're strict but fair, I think. Her brother Amir is very religious and gets on her nerves. Her friend Bruno knows about her secret identity and helps her in the books because he is also a genius. But sometimes it gets insufferable when he's there because he has a really big crush on Kamala and he just won't admit it. And it's just like one of those things where it's just like, come on, just tell her. Nakia is stated to be Kamala's best friend, but she doesn't show up that much. And I think the writers are aware of this because she's made several comments about being a background character or no one caring about the background characters. Zoe and Josh are these popular kids who at first are really mean to Kamala, but over time in the books, they actually become friends with the characters. There's surprisingly a lot of character growth with these two that I won't go into, and it's kind of surprising how they didn't even start off as friends and then get this much character growth. With these books, there were 4 books originally. A Marvel event happened, I think Secret Invasion, I'm not quite sure, but how this is in comics, the multiverse or something's effective, so they have an excuse to reboot everything. And with Miss Marvel books, they kind of just kept it going, but just new events happen. And I'll get more into that later, but they introduced some new characters, and while not all of them are bad, I can't stand some of them. One of the new characters I like is Taisha, who is Kamala's new sister-in-law. She just acts like an older sister, and she's nice. And then there's Red Dagger, who's a superhero Kamala meets when she's visiting her family over the sea. He has no powers, he's just really good at parkour, but he's really cool because he's just a hero because he wants to be. And then you get these next 2 characters. And when people complain about Marvel nowadays, some people write off. I'm like, I kind of get where they're coming from with these 2. You have Mike, who does nothing wrong, but she just says some of the stupidest stuff. And then you have Gabe, who I don't even want to show what he says, because it's just, why'd you make them say this? No one talks like that. On that subject, Kamala is a dork who plays World of Warcraft and writes fan fiction. So she uses memes in some of her books. And I can forgive some of these because, they're relevant when the books came out, but, just looking back, it's just like, yeah, goodness. I don't think I actually explained what Miss Marvel's powers are yet. She calls them embiggening, which I don't really think caught on. But she can change her size, she can grow and she can shrink. She can stretch her body parts like her legs and her arms. She can transform. I don't think she uses that enough because some of the early things she transforms into, it's pretty funny. She's regenerative, so like Wolverine, she can heal herself. And she has one of the coolest powers ever, having a giant fist. It's like her trademark, and anyone that says having a giant fist isn't a cool power is lying, because that is one of the coolest goddamn powers there is. So she's kind of like Mr. Fantastic if I had to compare her to somebody. So how'd she get her powers? Well, she out late disobeying her parents and then a mist rolled into Jersey City, and she woke up in a cocoon, and then she woke up looking like the old Carol Danvers. Uh, she's not a mutant; she's an Inhuman. They were trying to like popularize the Inhumans at this point, I believe, and I think Kamala Khan's one of the ones that really stuck out. She's not a full-on member of the Inhumans to my knowledge, but she is involved in some Inhuman books, I think, like the X-Men versus the Inhumans. While we're on the subject with teams, in her own book she teams up with several characters. This isn't odd in the Marvel universe since they're all located in New York City, and it's just across the bay from Jersey City. Though she's made her way around joining other teams. She's even joined a team superhero group called the Champions, and she's even joined the Avengers at one point. And I don't like that, and I'll explain why. Because I think Kamala Khan is best suited as a hometown hero. Because she's not that experienced yet. She shouldn't be out there fighting Thanos. Because most of her books deal with local problems in Jersey City. Stuff that's affecting the community, and I think that's where she should stay because that's where her best stories come from. And it still makes sense because she's still a young hero. The kind of stuff she fights, in the first 4 books, it's a coming-of-age story. She's discovering herself, where she belongs. Got her ass kicked a couple of times, meets heroes, is admired. While the newer books focus on subjects like gentrification, wrongful imprisonment, gerrymandering, hacking, relocation, so, there's a bit of a difference. Oh, don't forget about boys! There's a romance between these characters. Bruno, like I said, is annoying with his crush with Kamala Khan. And, there's several crushes and relationships that develop in these books. And at times I'm just like, oh, come on. The romance subplots aren't bad. I'm just like, I actually found myself enjoying some of these romance subplots, but, at the same time, that's not why we're here. To my knowledge, all of the villains besides one are not recurring, and that's a shame because I think a lot of them have pretty neat designs and could be pretty interesting if fleshed out more. Like with the hacking thing, one is an actual troll from World of Warcraft who is mean because he feeds off of what people do online. So, it's also a commentary on toxicity in gaming. But, that's kind of interesting. I kind of wanted to see what else they could do with that. And it's a real shame that they don't really reuse villains, I guess. The main art style is pretty consistent. It's a soft. It uses very soft colors, rounded and, gentle. But there are some issues that have a different art style. Like there's this simple style that I really wish they used more because it can be really funny at times, like with these 2 panels. And while I'm at it, here's some other panels that I like. Regarding Miss Marvel and other forms of media, I think the games are fairly accurate, those mobile games. But like every article, for example, recently people in Hollywood were in the talks of a Miss Marvel movie, and not Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. And when articles were describing Miss Marvel, they always did the Miss Marvel, comma, the Muslim one, comma. I'm like, she's not just that. That's not all of her identity. I don't believe Miss Marvel is a character that was made to be a token, but it sure does feel like she's treated like one at times. And maybe that's because of different authors, or maybe that's because people haven't read the books, I don't know. It's not even like she's the first Muslim superhero, not even the first female Marvel Muslim superhero. Monet and Dust make a cameo in one of her books. Though while we're on the subject, I think it's pretty funny that Miss Marvel, the famous and popular Muslim superhero, one of the first words that came out of her mouth was infidels. I just find that a little funny. I don't know. There's a infamous issue where it's about the election, and I think people thought that Miss Marvel was like forcing people to vote her way, when that wasn't really what it was. She was actually encouraging people just to vote. I don't think anywhere she's like, you have to vote for this person. Mike, her friend, suggested that she gets people to vote for a third-party candidate, And the third party candidate actually wins because the other two are terrible. Imagine that happening in real life.
Yeah. Like that's ever gonna happen. What a load.
Accommodations for these books are pretty much the same thing, but on the first book on the cover, it says, "This may be the most important comic published in 2014. I'm pretty sure Saga came out in 2014, and there's this Andre the Giant bio comic I really like that came out in 2014. Miss Marvel's good, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a coming-of-age superhero story. In conclusion, I've read about 50 issues, and I'm looking at some of the future issues right now, and it looks like Kamala Khan's not even in the next arc of the Miss Marvel books, so that's weird. And then it looks like she's fighting the Shocker, so she's probably teaming up with Spider-Man or something in the next batch of issues. So what would I rate this? The way I rate books is 5 is a must-have, 4 is good, 3 is okay. You know, just because it's a 3 out of 5 doesn't mean it's bad. I think that means it's okay. 2 I think is bad, and 1 is don't get it. I don't do in-betweens. I don't do like a 4.9 or a 3.6 or anything like that. I like rounding off. Now, these are for the people that need the number system if what I said wasn't good enough, and I get that. I would strongly recommend the first 4 Mrs. Marvel books. They're more grounded, and I'd probably give them a 4 out of 5. Her new books are not as grounded, and it can get confusing at times. And I think the main problem with the newer books is Kamala Khan is the problem. She is the cause of everything bad that happens in the newer books, and it's kind of astonishing. Like, besides 2 instances, I think she's the problem in a lot of these books. Not that she's badly written or anything, it's she actually caused what happened, or she's a part of it. I would only really recommend the newer books if you were a fan of Miss Marvel already and you just want to read new stories. That's where I'm kind of at. I give it a 3 out of 5. I think the bad and the good balanced enough. So if you were to round them up as a whole, I'd give them a big 3 out of 5. But, you know, there's highs and lows in these books, but overall, I think it's pretty entertaining. I think Miss Marvel is a good new character. At this point, Marvel tried shooting a lot of new characters out, and Miss Marvel is one of the better ones to come out, I think. But she works better in her roots. It's not for everybody, but I think it's better than okay. And actually, if you want, there is a free comic book that explains what Miss Marvel's all about. It's only 3 pages, but the art's really good, and it explains what Miss Marvel is all about and showcases what kind of art you're in for, what kind of story you're in for. And I think it's called Marvel Legacy Comics Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel books are, if you like Miles Morales, you'll probably like Miss Marvel. Like I said, I think Miss Marvel is a good new Marvel character. Oh man, the books are actually 4 years old at this point. And I don't see Marvel dropping Miss Marvel anytime soon because I think she's fairly popular and she's getting in more Marvel properties like TV shows and games. And hey, apparently a movie. We'll see where she goes from here as a brand. What am I going to call this video? I think saying Miss Marvel would be too basic, but I also don't want to just put in the years or each book title. I don't know what to do. Oh god, that's funny. I'm gonna use that. Not clickbait, I swear. She said it.